Hi, my name is Bethany from Adoration Church, and I'm here with Elyse Olson, and she is here to give us some fun information about Roots for Zimbabwe, which is a mission organization that she started that Adoration Church is going to be partnering with. So Elyse, can you tell us a little bit about how Roots for Zimbabwe got started?
Yes, I went to Zimbabwe about 10 years ago, and I spent a year there with an organization that worked with other organizations on the ground. So my job was with an organization called Our Neighbors, and I lived with a host family, and I took local transport and was just very immersed there. And every day I asked God if I could stay, and every day it was no, like go home when the year was up. So when I got home, I just felt a nudge to start this organization and kind of combine the people that I know here with my love for Africa there and people there, kind of be the bridge.
Awesome. Okay, so I know one part that Adoration is going to be partnering with Roots for Zimbabwe is part of the Child Sponsorship Program. And this is an opportunity for people such as the church or even individual families to do a sponsorship of children that are in a certain area of Zimbabwe. And can you tell us, what does the sponsorship provide for them?
Yeah, so for $15 a month, a child gets to go to school, but we didn't want to just send kids to school and leave them there. So we are doing it through Our Neighbors, and they will provide social work care as well. We just think for a child to have a place to go to, hopefully for some recovery from trauma, but also if other things come up, that they have this place that's safe, that they can heal from. So we provide that, and then they usually also will get eggs as well for just nutrition, because as we did this work, we were just learning that a child can go to school, but if they haven't had any protein for the day or any nutrition, their brain's just not going to absorb the information.
Yeah.
So we provide that as well. And we like to get to know the families, and as best we're able. Every case is different, but that's our intention.
Awesome. And I know most of these families are from a specific area. And can you tell us a little bit, because I think it's just a little bit different than what we have culturally here in the United States, that they all live by this dump, correct?
Yes, so most of the kids that Adoration is sponsoring is from Ngozi Mine, which is a garbage dump community. So families live around this garbage dump. The garbage truck comes and dumps everything off, and they race to get the recycling and all that first, so then they can get money from those recycled products. So a lot of families live that way, but they can't use that money to pay for the school fees. In Zimbabwe, it costs, even a public school, it's called the government school there, and it costs money to go to. And so they can't afford those fees. They use the recycling money for basic needs. And then other kids live in Trinance or Mazwe, and it's a similar situation where it's tin shacks in Trinance, but no water and no food. And then in Mazwe, the shelter's a little bit better, but they live so far from town that they can't take local transport in to do a day job like selling tomatoes, because it would take all the money just to get to town. So each community has different needs,
So something that Adoration is going to be doing is we're going to be introducing our kids in our classrooms downstairs to these kids in Zimbabwe, and we're going to be introducing one child a month in the elementary classroom and one in the preschool classroom, because we don't just want for the churches at large to be sponsoring and giving money. We really want our kids' hearts to be transformed, to see that there's kids all over the world and that they live in different ways, and to gain a heart for what the Lord's doing in a place. And so we can talk about it, but I think it becomes so much more personal when they see a face and they hear a little bit about their story. And then we want our kids to be praying for them, because we know, like, we could provide financially for them to go to school, but we know that through prayer it can change everything, but it can also change our kids' hearts towards what the Lord's doing in different places. And so this is an exciting way that we get to partner as a church. And so when you pick up your kids from your classrooms, you can peek in and you can see the picture of who we're praying for that month, along with their name. And what are some ways that we can be praying? What are specific needs that would be kind of general that we can be praying for these kids?
Yeah, a lot of it is healing from trauma. So a lot of the kids live in ongoing trauma, and as we know, you can't really heal in that situation, right? It's just constant survival. And so prayer for that, right? That whether it's through the organization that I partner with, that they have a safe place of people that love Jesus and will provide social work care for them and their families, or some other avenue. You can only go so far, right? Without Jesus and without healing of trauma. So that's the biggest.
Right over their hearts.
Right. That's why we do what we do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a really exciting opportunity. We're partnering with Roots for Zimbabwe in a few different ways. One way is through the child sponsorship program, where we're sponsoring these children for them to be able to go to school and receive protein. But a new way that we are going to be sponsoring is with the 3-year partnership that we're making with something new that they're about to start. Would you like to tell us about that?
I would love to. Yes, I'm very surprised by it, and I'm very excited for it. God started speaking pretty clearly about working with girls in Zimbabwe. I started asking questions really about like generational prostitution and what that looks like, or trafficking, and in those communities that I had mentioned previously, in Ngozi, which is the garbage dump, in Trinance, which is called the squatter camp, in Mazwe, which is far from town, and just a lot of poverty. I mean, it's the most poor in this area. And what I found out was that the families that we work with, the mom will do prostitution in order to provide for their family. And then as the girls age, they know that they're next, right? They watch it all happen, and they know as they get of age that they will help the family in that way. And we want to provide another option. And so working with our partners on the ground, we're going to launch a training program. This year our hope is to have 5 to 7 girls run through the program and focus on, this year our hope is to provide agricultural training and plaiting hair, and really just teach about the human body and how God has given us women these beautiful bodies and what they're intended for, and just teach on Jesus and let him work. So yeah, we're really excited about it. Next year we hope to have 3 different sections, and our hope is to have 12 girls in each section. And then we are hoping to add sewing and baking as well to the agricultural and plaiting hair.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's really exciting because it's not just about one thing, it's about generationally breaking this cycle that's been going on in maybe generations in their family, but that's culturally normal. But giving them an opportunity that this doesn't have to be, that there's something else you could do. So I love the education part too, of giving them an option to get out of this way of living, but still be able to provide for their families.
I think the biggest thing is that when I think Africa, I think, oh, things won't cost that much money. But it's not true. And so thankfully we've been given 2 buildings to use. I don't know the state of those buildings, but they're usable. So one of them is for the agricultural land, right by where one of the schools is run. And so we don't have to pay any rent, which is amazing. It doesn't have electricity. So we have another building in town, which is why we're waiting to start that next year, that does have electricity.
Okay.
And so we would have part of it there, right?
Yeah.
So there's 2 different buildings. Agricultural and plaiting hair can be without in the building that's in between those 2 communities, and then the other one wants to do transport costs in town. But there's things like, which I didn't think of originally as I'm like delving into this. We can't just send the girls on scholarship to this program. We also have to figure out what they're going to do when they get home, and they still need to provide money for their family, right? And so I didn't think about that originally, and I was like, oh, right, like not only what does that look like? So our thought is to have little jobs that they can do during the day, and they're going to earn money that way to bring home to their family, because otherwise when they get home from our training program, their parents are going to send them to the bars to make money. And so each section is intended to be 6 weeks because we want to break cycles, right?
Yeah.
And so it takes at least 6 weeks to train your mind to like get out of this habit of, no, this is what I do every evening, and this, so we want to provide a small income as well as providing them this training program. Yeah, so there's just a lot of extra costs that I didn't originally think about. So God's totally provided 2 free buildings, which is amazing, and I thought all of our costs would go to that, but it's not. So it costs about $800 to send one girl through the training program.
Okay.
It's kind of where we're at.
This is a brand new thing, and Adoration is partnering, and we want, as a church, to partner in several ways. And one of those ways is the church itself is making a commitment, but we want to help this program get off of its feet. And so we're going to be taking up a special offering in 2 weeks on June 18th. And what we're going to be doing is just asking the Lord that he would show each of us what our part is and how we're supposed to bless this ministry get started in a strong way so that it can keep growing. And so I just want to ask each of you to be praying and asking the Lord, what would be your part? What would the Lord have you to give towards this educational for the system, new way of life for these girls in Zimbabwe that is starting through Roots for Zimbabwe's program? So one way that we can give and partner with them is that as a church as a whole, we have set aside a budget that we're going to be sponsoring these 20 children along with doing a 3-year partnership with the work that they're doing educating girls. But if you as a family have a heart that you want to do this, you can go to rootsforzimbabwe.org.
Yeah.
And there are sections on there where you can, as a family, sponsor a child, or you could provide protein through these eggs, or you can give in other ways to the administrative costs and different things that they're doing there. Another way is that you can give directly to the mission through Adoration Church's app. So on our app, we have a giving center. And if you go on there, you can go to missions, and one of the options for missions is going to be for Roots for Zimbabwe, and everything that you give that is designated towards there will also go towards the different things that they're doing there.